Welcome to the Retro Junkion.
Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're going to be looking at another C64 from the 10 I got from Facebook Marketplace. In the last video we fixed the Rev A board. In this one we're going to be taking a look at a 250-407, which is probably the most common C64 revision, maybe the second most common. Not totally positive, but you know, it's right there. There's a bunch of these in the world. I wanted to go ahead and point out, or just make you aware, I'm trying a new recording setting on my phone. It's supposed to be Pro Video. So hopefully, hopefully it works out well. We'll see. I also tried to give more ambient light to the room. But okay, so the first things I wanted to point out with this, well, first of all, the first thing I'm going to do as far as testing is I'm going to take the custom chips out of the board and test voltages, just like in the Rev A board, just to see if our voltages are where they're supposed to be. And then the other things, right here, you can see it looks like water damage. It looks like the salt or whatever that mineralized water leaves behind, but it's just surfaced. It doesn't look like it really did any damage. I just need to clean that off. Now this stuff is conductive, so I'll get that off of there before I test any of the voltages. It's possible, and actually looking at it now, I don't know if you guys can see that, it's this capacitor that has leaked. As a matter of fact, I can see it's corroded all over that leg. So this is probably cap juice, and actually, now that I'm looking, it looks like that cap as well is leaking. Can you see that under there? Maybe. So it looks like on this board I'll probably be doing a recap. I'll probably start by just doing these guys, just the small ones. I'll leave these ones for now. They don't have any signs of leakage. I think I do have all of these if I need to do it. Not positive, but I think I do. I should have all of these. I'll have to look. I'll do the recapping off camera. You guys don't need to see that. You've seen me do it in one of the previous videos, and you've seen 100 other people do it 100 times each. Nothing new. Just going to desolder them and throw new caps in. Nothing incredible. But the other thing I wanted to point out right here, this is a MOS 7708, and this was a chip obviously made by MOS, but it's compatible with and a clone of the 74LS257P that's sitting right below it here in the machine. But these, as I'm sure most of you know, are notoriously unreliable chips. For whatever reason, MOS was able to make 6510s and the SID and the PLA and all these other chips and make them more or less reliable, aside from maybe the PLA. But as far as these logic chips go, they're just notoriously unreliable bad chips. And then also over here there's another one. This is a MOS 7707, which is a 7406 clone. Now I haven't turned this thing on at all, so I'm not sure what it's doing, but if there is a fault with it, if it's not working correctly, my first assumption would be these two chips. They're definitely going to be big suspects because they're just known, to not be very reliable at all. But I guess what I'm going to do is go ahead and take this guy out of its case, and I'm going to go ahead and recap it, and then I'll come back and we'll start on doing the voltage test and then go from there. All right, so I got the custom chips out, obviously, and then I replaced the caps, but they're all the same except for this guy over here. This is a 16 volt 100 microfarad. I did do that one, but all of these like 6x12s or 5x12s that are on the board are what was it, 10 microfarad 50 volt, and there's 12 of them, not counting this smaller one, which is what is it, 16 or 10 microfarad 25 volts. Anyway, I only had enough to do. I did all of them except for the ones that have black marks on top of them. Here, 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 and here. And then I didn't do this one either. So I'll order some more of those and replace them. But what we're going to do now is go ahead and test our voltages. I'm going to do the same thing as with the revision A. I'll just test it in the SID socket. But let me get it plugged in. I got the power supply turned on, but the switch on the C64 is off. Okay, so go ahead and flip the power switch. We'll check voltage, as long as we don't lose any, if we don't blow a fuse, and everything's okay on my power supply. Alright, here we are. I'm going to turn the power supply on, and then we'll turn on the C64. Alright, 3, 2, 1, fire in the hole. Alright, black screen, that is what they reported, and looks like nothing but a black screen, which again is, you know, that's what they said was going to happen. Alright, so just like last time, I'm going to check heat. I'm going to check the chip, see if anything is abnormally hot. Nothing yet. It feels too bad. Let's see. I'm checking the two MOS chips. The socketed MOS chip actually does feel a little warm. It doesn't feel hot by any means, but compared to every other chip, that one that's in the socket is a little warmer than the rest. But I'm just checking around for heat. Yeah, that chip's the only one that really shows any heat. Even the other the 7707, the MOS chip, the 7406 clone or whatever, it's not showing much heat. The kernel feels pretty warm, especially compared to either the character, well, the basic ROM. It's a little warm. The kernel is warmer, significantly warmer than the other two, but not to an extent that would make me feel like it's bad. Now the SID is a little warm, but it's not screaming by any means. But with that being said, I'm going to shut the SID, or I'm going to shut the machine off. I'm going to pull the SID out. We don't need it to boot, and I don't want to risk damaging it if there's, you know, something else. We'll put it back in after we get it booted up. I'm just popping it out. Okay, and the SID's out. We'll go ahead and try it out, see what it does. Okay, so here's without the SID. You got a black screen. I didn't expect that to change anything, but, you know, worth a shot. Okay, so since we have it easy and available, I guess the next thing that I want to do is I'll plug in my TL866 programmer and check this chip to see if it is the MOS chip, and see if it's testing okay. Like I said, it's running warmer than every other logic chip for sure, but still nothing, you know, incredible. But let me pop it out. This will be a quick and easy test. I'll just throw it in the logic tester real quick and see what we get. All right, I'm gonna shaky cam this for a second. Like I said, that MOS chip is the equivalent of a 74257. It's actually 74LS257, and this is the result. Let me run the test again for you. Just click. So you got two of its gates are okay, and then the rest of them are failing, and it's consistent with that. So I'm gonna I don't have any of this chip yet. I ordered some actually, but They're not in yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and steal one from one of these other units, unfortunately, but I'm using the same one I took the switch from, and I will put all of this stuff back. But let me grab that chip, we'll throw it in and see if that's all that it was. I guess I got lucky. The board that was missing its SID and its PLA, and I think it's missing its VIC too, but I'll have to check again. But I think it was not this one, but the the one I've been taking the switch from and everything. Anyway, it had both of its 74-257 socketed, so they must have been back to Commodore for repairs. I'm just assuming, I don't know if it was from Commodore, but both of the sockets that were put in there were their Commodore's crap single wipe sockets. So I pulled it out. This is it here. I went ahead and used the fiberglass pen and cleaned up the pens on, or the fiberglass pen, sorry, and cleaned up the pens on it because they just looked a little crusty. I just figured it's a good idea to do. Alright, I'm going to put you back up to the display, and then we'll see if this is all that it was or if we got to keep going. Alright, here we are. The Commodore's plugged in, chip's been replaced, power supply's on, so we'll flip the switch and see if we get the familiar blue or the also familiar black. See what we get here. Nope, it would have been up already, so we still have a problem. Okay, so what do we want to do next then? My other thought would be to replace that other MOS chip, but it might be worth pulling out. Well, I guess what we'll do next, I did get my dead test cartridge, and well, it's a dead test and diagnostics. Let's throw it in and see what the dead test says. I have not used the dead test before, so whatever its error messages might pop up and say, I'll have to look them up because I don't know what they mean. But we'll see. It may not do, it may not give us anything. Okay, let's go ahead and, alright, I got the dead test in. I'll go ahead and flip the switch and see what we get. Dead test takes a minute to boot up. Well, not a minute, but 20 seconds or so. All I can see as of right now is just random flickerings on the screen there. The dead test requires a working PLA, so it might be worth throwing the PLA in it as well if it doesn't do anything. If we get no response from this, it would probably be worth trying the PLA just because that's, such a common failure, and it's required for the dead test and we still get nothing. So it's been long enough, it should be on already. I'm just checking heat again. I'll move that so I can test the 7406 better. I don't see anything in that regard. I don't feel anything. The only thing I feel that is somewhat questionable or concerning is that the kernel is kind of warm compared to the others. It feels like the processor is a little warm, but that's normal. The VIC 2 is a little warm, but again, it should be. It's on. It's doing its job right now, so it should be a little warm. It's not hot by any means. Just checking over everything. The PLA doesn't feel, well, no, it doesn't feel hot. If I push down on it, it feels warm, but it doesn't feel, it's not hot like the last one. But let me grab a PLA. Let's just try it. So we didn't get anything from the dead test, but I guess just to be thorough, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the dead test and put it back in, just because I don't know the condition of this thing's cartridge slot. Alright, so I did that. Let's go ahead and fire back up and see if that gives us any change of behavior. Again, it takes 20 seconds or so. Just give it a minute, see what it does. You guys can see the screen obviously, but you know, I'm watching it for anything and I don't see anything happening. Before I saw like a couple of little flickers of white, but it's nothing now. I'll still give it a minute just see what it does. Don't expect any change here. My guess is this PLA is bad. It's such a common failure, unfortunately. I was able to, I don't know if I mentioned this in the last video, I don't think I did, but I was able to hook up with my programmer from work. I can program the 82S100 or the PLS100 chips to use them as PLAs. So I may grab some of them so I can do that. I would rather use those than the GAL PLAs, although from my understanding, well, my understanding is that the 82S100 and the PLS100 chips are 100% compatible. They're exactly the same as the Commodore's PLA, whereas that GAL chip is like more around the way of 98%, which is fine. You know, like I know Zaxxon, I think, had a problem with it. I don't have that game. It is a cool game, but it's not that big of a deal. But if I can get it closer to right, I'd rather do that. But all right, I'm gonna shut this off and I'm gonna grab a PLA to put in this. Okie dokie. I've got the I just took the PLA out of the Rev A. That's the only spare PLA I have, not counting all those other boards, but those are all unconfirmed functionality. This one we know works. So I got that in there. The dead test is still in. Let's flip it on and see if we get any change whatsoever. It would probably be worth it just to replace that 7406, the Moss branded one. I mean, they really are that failure prone. I should take that 74257 and test it. I didn't do that yet. I'll put it in the chip tester and make sure it's functioning. That way I know if we're working with a good chip or not, because you can really burn yourself using unconfirmed chips, because you replace it and in your mind it gives you the idea that, okay, well, that's not the issue, I did that. Well, if you didn't test it, then you really don't know. It could be the issue, and 100% could be. So I'll confirm it in the chip tester just for peace of mind. Okay, I tested the 74257 in the chip tester and it tests okay, so that's confirmed, or at least assumingly confirmed to work. And you can't really trust that 100%, but given that the other chip failed and that one's functioning as far as the tester is concerned, then that's at least good enough to put a little faith in. I really am suspicious of that that Moss chip. I may, again, even before going to testing with the oscilloscope, I may just swap it. You know, some people kind of go on the idea of, well, you know, I want to know exactly what's wrong with it, and there's nothing wrong with that concept, especially if you're working on something that belongs to you and it's for you, etc. Whereas for me, you know, I have the tools and everything, so taking a chip out is not an issue whatsoever. It's quick, it's easy, and with that being said, I do this, no, I don't fix C64s for a living, but I fix electronics for a living, and it's relative. It's around the same time frame, really, as far as manufacturing goes. Similar technologies, not as much now, but that's what I started doing and was doing that primarily up until like, I don't know, 2015 maybe. But anyway, my mind state on this stuff, given that that's what I do, you know, like I said, I because of what I do, my mindset is always fix it the fastest way. I don't care what gate on a given chip went bad. If I can get that chip out and test it, confirm it's bad, that's as far as I need to go. Now, with that being said, I'm not going to go through and just replace every chip on this board one after the other until it works. I'm not going to do that. But if I'm looking at high probability failure stuff, I will take care of that a lot of the time, and then if that doesn't work, once I've exhausted the most high failure prone things, then go into, you know, more extended thorough testing. But anyway, I got that. I took all the socketed chips out except for the PLA, the VIC-2, and the processor, and the 74257. I left it in. It's confirmed working, so or at least it passed the test. But all right, so let's turn it on again. The dead test is in again. Actually, yeah, it is. Okay, go ahead and see if we get any results without the other customs. Okay, I put in a socket. I got the other 7406 out. First of all, I guess it's worth pointing out, because this is the way it goes, I guess. The 7406 has a couple of different variants, and they are not the same. So, for example, what I'm going to try to do here, instead of taking another chip out of one of those C64s, which I may end up having to do anyway, but I figured it'd be worth a shot. I had a board laying around that had a 74LS06 in it, and I'm going to try that. I've got it in there right now. It passes on the tester. There's two versions listed on this tester. You have 7406 non-standard is what it says in parentheses, and then you have 7406 OCOD, which I'm assuming means open collector, open drain. Not positive, but anyway, the 74LS06 that I have, it passes the OCOD test, but it fails the non-standard test. Now the MOS chip, I put it in there and it failed both of them. So I don't know if this chip is going to work, but I figured it'd be worth a shot. It was more easily accessible than the C64 chip, just because I'd have to take the shield off of it and everything, just being lazy, and it could end up biting me. But I think it would be good to know anyway if a 74LS06 will work in that position. So it's all plugged in. The dead test cartridge is in. New 7406. All I have populated in for the custom chips is the processor, known good processor, known good PLA, not confirmed good VIC-2, which hopefully doesn't also bite me. But let's go ahead and flip it and see if we get any results. Again, I don't know if the 74LS06 will work, but it's worth noting that the Commodore one, yeah, there you go. The Commodore one failed both tests. All right, so this is the dead test, and it looks like we're alive. So it was, I mean, as always, the crappy MOS chips. That's kind of why I leaned that way. That's why I wanted to just go ahead and do it, just because sadly they're that well known to be failures. So it was almost worth it. Instead of, you know, poking around and checking this and that, it's almost worth just going ahead and doing it. And I guess we learned something in the meantime. A 74LS06 will absolutely work in the C64, so that's cool. A lot of 7406s, like when you order them or buy them or look up their part number, instead of being listed as like 74HC06 or 74LS06 or 74HCT06, with the 7406, a lot of times they'll be listed as 7406. That's it. They won't have any identifier in the middle. I don't know the whole story with that. Probably worth knowing. But at least in this case, the 74LS06 is functioning correctly, and I would assume that the 74HC06 would not work, and the 74HCT would work, because it's supposed to be tolerant of the old LS series. Okay, so that passes, other than the SID, because it's not in there. Let me go ahead and shut it off. That's awesome. I'm gonna put the PLA back in. I'm gonna keep the processor, swap in the PLA, and just make sure it boots up. I'm gonna switch to the diag test, by the way, just because the dead test takes a while to boot up. The diag test, I think, boots a little bit faster, but well, I'm glad I took the risk then. I don't know, it wasn't really a risk, to be fair, but I'm glad I decided to go ahead and try that one. That 7406, just because now I know. And I also have a bunch of other boards here that have that chip in it. So if I need any more, I have them. Okay, so I put the old PLA back in. Cross your fingers. It'd be great if it worked. We'll find out in a second. I also switched to the oh yeah, let's shut the power supply off. I also switched to the diagnostic side of the cartridge instead of the dead test. Let's see what we get. Hopefully it works. It'd be cool if I had a PLA that wasn't bad. Nah, not looking good. I don't think the diag cartridge takes that long to boot up, but I'll give it a minute anyway. I guess I should switch back to the dead test if this doesn't work. But I wouldn't be surprised, you know, these PLAs, they just, you know, between them and the 74 series chips, Moss just couldn't get those right for whatever reason. And ironically, they're chips that they, you know, they effectively took the design from somebody else. So they did their own stuff fine. They didn't copy other people very well. All right, I killed that. Let me flip to dead test. I'll be interested to see what it does. Although, from my understanding, I don't think it's going to do anything with a bad PLA. Well, it did something. Do you see that? Oh, look at that. So, again, I don't know what the blinking white is. I'm assuming that's telling me that the PLA is bad, but it's probably not. It's probably telling me some RAM chip is faulty or something. That sucks, but it's not, you know, it's not all too surprising. I mean, this is just such a common thing. Alright, well, I guess for now I'm going to just put in the PLA from the Rev A. I will be ordering some of those programmable chips and doing all that so I can, you know, because if a bunch of these have bad PLAs, I'd rather replace them with those than the GAL chip, even though they cost a lot less. But I don't know. I'd just be happier with it if it were something that you would have found back then in the as a replacement. Commodore used this PLS 100N and the 82S 100N way early on, but let me repopulate the board. I'm just going to go ahead and throw everything back in, minus the PLA. I'll put the SID back and the ROMs and the CIAs, and then we'll run it through the diag test and see what we get. Well, everything is back in, so let's see what we get right now. Hopefully we get diagnostics. That would make me happy. And I think I did, yeah, I did put it in diagnostics facing inward. Yeah, see, I feel like it should have booted already. I'm going to leave the PLA in the replacement PLA. I'm going to leave the 6510 from the Rev A in, and I'm going to start pulling the custom chips until it boots, basically, or until it boots into the dead test. Because as it stands right here, the only thing that's changed, and actually, I mean, the processor should be okay because it passed the dead test. But anyway, I'm just going to go through and pull the custom chips until it goes back to what it was doing. Then we'll call that our baseline, and that should lead us in the direction of what chip has failed. It's possible too that I got a bad connection on the cartridge port. I guess that's something I should be mindful of. Okay, here goes the I can never remember. I think this is the basic ROM that I just plucked, and look, it's different. So the basic ROM's probably bad. Let's see if it boots, or into the dead test. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we got a bad basic ROM, unfortunately. And this is the one that was getting warm. So actually, I feel like it was the kernel ROM, but it might have been this. Let me okay, so let's put the other two back in. I'm putting both of the other ROMs back in, and then we'll turn it on and see if it boots up or if it's gonna fail. Looks like it's working, so assumingly those two ROMs are okay, but let's double check. Yeah, Okay, and now I'm gonna go ahead and put this back in just in case it had a bad connection or something like that. I don't want to consider it dead just right off the bat like that. But yeah, there you go with it in, it's bad. I'll see, I'm not going to do it in the video. Maybe I'll give you an update on one of the other machines, but I'll see if I can get one of my programmers to read to verify that chip, basically. I'll see if there's a compatible chip I can use. Obviously, it's not going to have MOS 2332s, I think is what they're what their equivalents are, but I don't think either of my programmers will have that. But I might be able to find a regular 2332 or something I can use to try to verify these or read their data and see if there's any corruption. Okay, just swap the processor out. That looks like it's gonna go, and we should expect the processor to work because we did see it boot up earlier. Oh, by the way, this is one of the machines that does have S-Video, but I'm still using composite, my S-Video cables on the other machine over there, and it's kind of, you know, wrapped around everything. So I figured I'd use this one since I already had it over here and it's easier, and I'm not worried about video quality as much as I am functionality. Okay, I just put the SID back in. Let's see if it boots with the SID. Cross your fingers. It looks okay. That's what's weird about the dead test, right? The SID made it blink a different code, if I'm not mistaken, just a few minutes ago. One would assume that means the SID had a problem, but it's working fine. It's just, you know, its accuracy isn't great, I guess. But I do want to see if we get any audio out. I guess it would be good to know if our SID is at least seemingly functioning. Looks like, at least for now, the CIAs are in sync, so we got 13 AM and 13 PM. Those numbers should stay the same. Alright, so the sound test is last, I think. It's going to take a second, but let's see. Color RAM, I think we already passed this test. Yeah, we did. So the color RAM should be working fine, and all of the other RAM tests, they already passed previously. I guess I should try the PLA again too, actually. Probably be a good idea. Oh, I thought this ran the sound test. Does it not? I swear it said sound. Oh no, it's doing one of the RAM tests. That's why it's doing that. Right. Okay, so give it a second. They should all pop back up, and then it should run the SID test. Well, that's not right. Huh. I don't think that's right. I'm not positive, but I think that's running way too fast. That's kind of an oddball, right? Although again, my kernel feels hot compared to the character ROM. I'm gonna go ahead now and put that other PLA in and see if it kills the system. It'd be awesome if it didn't, but I'm not holding my breath. I think it changed earlier, but maybe not. I don't know. There's a problem with swapping all these components. It starts to get tricky. Alright, so here's the factory PLA. Nope, dead. Yeah, one blink. So that PLA's hit, unfortunately. So far, the list of broken stuff on this guy is the PLA's bad. The 7406 or the MOS 7407 and then the MOS 7708, both bad. Which those three are probably the three. If the MOS chips are there, those three would probably be just one after the other, the most common failures that there is. Okay, I grabbed another, I think it was the basic ROM. Everything else is the same. The dead test is installed, the new basic ROM. Let's see if it goes into the dead test. This is a non-confirmed basic ROM, by the way. I just grabbed it from one of the other machines that it was socketed in. Yeah, looking good. I am curious to see if the SID's gonna run fast again, if that's just some weird thing with with the ROM missing. I doubt it. But I am kind of questioning the kernel now too, just because it is hot. Hotter than the character ROM by quite a bit. It's not like smoking hot by any means, but they should be the same underlying mask ROM. They just have a different program, so they should be about the same temperature, one would think. The fact that it's running hot makes me wonder if there's something wrong with the kernel. But we'll find out here in a second. If it's still running hot, I think I'll just go ahead and do the kernel just to see. I have another one that's socketed. Actually, I don't know if I do. I have the one. Oh yeah, I guess I do. Never mind. I have one in the. I should have just taken this from the Rev A. That was confirmed working. Didn't even think about it. But at least the CIA seem to be in time. Everything seems to be going okay there. Yeah, let's see what the sound test does, if it's still running fast. And I don't know if that's normal for the dead test either, so maybe I should try the diag cartridge, because it doesn't run like that in that. I know that much. I still don't have the diagnostic cartridge harness. I need to build it. Yeah, it's still running fast. It's so bizarre. But well, also, you hear that? No noise channel. So that's bizarre. I don't know if that's a dead test thing or if that's a SID thing. I'm not sure. Hopefully the SID's not got just one channel that's failed, but if it did, I mean, if it's gonna be one of the ones I'm keeping, I can live without the noise channel, I think. Maybe not though. I mean, it's used for a lot of bomb games, a lot of games where rocket engines or explosives. So maybe not. I don't know. Just thinking out loud. But I switched over to the diagnostic cartridge, by the way. But it's still not booting, right? So that is obviously an issue. So I think, yeah, I mean, that should have been up already. So I don't know what's up with that. The diagnostic cartridge is confirmed to be working. It does work. Let me go ahead and give it another push and reseat it just in case it's that. No. So that's kind of bizarre. Odd that it would run one and not the other. Let me again pull out the, well, actually I'm just gonna go ahead and put the kernel, because I'm still concerned that this kernel is bad. It is pretty warm actually, even after I turn the machine off. All right, this will only take a second. We'll grab a kernel. Here we have our kernel. Let's put it in real quick if I can. All right, so there's a different kernel chip. Turn it back on and see if we get in. Oh yeah, look at that. So that kernel's bad, unfortunately, and it's apparently only half bad. So that puts us at basic ROM, kernel, PLA 7406, 74257 failed. I guess one thing to take from this is that the heat test is pretty good. Obviously it's not going to answer every question, but if you feel one chip that's running a little hotter than the rest, well, I guess be suspicious. Again, these are going to fail because I don't have the harness. There we go. Sounds pretty good. There's the sound channel. Cool. All right, so there we go. Miracle, we passed every test. We still have to boot it up without the cartridge and see what it does. We're gonna get failures on the CIAs and the SID because of the harness, but assuming that stuff's just because of the harness, which probably is, then everything else is working here. Let's boot it up with nothing and just see what it does. Okay, that's cool. So there you go, it's working, got all the stuff. I'll have to test with the keyboard, but I am going to go ahead and throw the dead test back in, and we'll run through it one time. I'll cut the waiting out. I'll edit out the waiting for you guys, but I'm just curious to see if that was a kernel thing, because that would be good to know, or if that's just a dead test thing. I'll have to look at some videos and see. I don't remember that being the case though, but let's see what the it runs fast. That's so bizarre. So that's not the kernel. I wonder, and no noise channel either. I don't know if that's normal. I'll have to look and see. I guess what I want to do now, and I think finally, I think we're good here, is just throw a keyboard on here and see if the keyboard reads. Let me grab one. Okay, I have a keyboard hooked up. I also have the fast load cartridge installed, but now I'm looking at it, looks kind of crooked. Let me just make sure. Yeah, it wasn't in all the way. I have the fast load cartridge installed and the SD to IEC installed. Okay, got a joystick, got to reload the software. And this keyboard just not great. Star, no, not star. I want FB64 9. There we go. I guess it really doesn't matter because it was going to choose it anyway, but for some reason or another I prefer picking them that way. Okay, I'm going to do Donkey Kong again just because the music, I know it pretty well. Let's see if it works. Yeah, sounds pretty good. It actually doesn't sound perfect, I don't think. Maybe it does. Yeah, it sounds okay. My main C64, the one I had before I got this, was the C64C that has the AR SID in it, the Rev 4 AR SID. So I guess I'm kind of used to that, and they're supposed to sound different than these, so that's probably going to continue to throw me off until I get used to what this one sounds like, I guess. Let's just go ahead and see how quick I can kill Jumpman. Again, the video, it looks pretty good for being composite. It looks fine. Assumingly it will look even better with the S-Video or with Chroma Luma. But we'll see. Oh. No, well, I'm not dying yet. What always gets me is the ones by the ladders. They'll fall down the ladder like that and get me. Never fails. But anyway, we're not here to watch me play Donkey Kong. But yeah, there you go. I think this is another one saved. I'll go ahead and call the video here, but I'm gonna look into replacing the kernel, because this kernel needs to go back in the Rev A. I need to put the Rev A's processor back, but it's working at the processor, and this one's okay. It appears that a 74LS06 will work in place of just the 7406 or the MOS 7707, was it? Yeah. Never trust the MOS chips. They're just not, they're just known to not be very good. So just to recap real fast, we got a bad PLA, we got a bad basic ROM, we got a bad kernel ROM. Bad MOS 7707, which is a 7406, and a bad MOS 7708, which is a 74LS257. And that's it. Seems to be a fully functional assembly 25407. So cool. I don't know if I'll add this one to my collection. I probably will. Again, as always, thank you guys so much for subscribing and liking the video. I really appreciate it. It helps. If you have any, if you know anything about why the dead test cartridge there is making the SID test run so fast, please let me know in the comments. I don't remember seeing that anywhere. But if you have any little tidbits of wisdom, or just, things you think I should know, or just criticisms or anything, please put it in the comments and I'll reply. Thanks, guys. Bye.